The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Quirky Dog Podcast, inspired by some of the quirkiest dogs you can ever imagine and the owners who love them. This podcast is brought to you by the quirky couple themselves, Scott and Jess Williams. Their aim is to educate and entertain. Here's Scott and Jess.
The end.
Oh my God, Scott's already fading out. Hey guys, happy Wednesday. We are coming to you live from Salem, New Hampshire at Two Guys Cigar Studio, as always. And we have a very special guest. That's what I always like to say.
Inky, I like to call her.
But first, we're going to start with the quirky tip of the day.
Well, that's my job.
Well, you threw me the pig, and then you were sliding out of the frame. You're kind of off kilter today. All right, the quirky tip is if your dog likes swimming, give dock diving a try. And our guest is Kristen Ingersoll. She is from New Hampshire, Litchfield?
Danville.
Yep. Whatever, somewhere in New Hampshire. And she has a few dock diving dogs, but one of them is really making waves, if you will. So, Kristen, welcome.
Wow.
And
Thank you.
Not bad with the
Pardon
pun.
the pun.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your history in dock diving and especially your superstar dock diver that you got going on.
Yep. So I originally saw dock diving at the Topsfield Fair. Dock diving is a nice thing that they have
Oldest fair in
put
the
on.
country, I might add.
Yes, they put it on at a lot of fairs.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, I wanted to do that. And then my pit bull about 6-7 years ago went into a lake and started swimming. So I decided to try and get her into it.
Yeah.
So then we looked up.
It's like throwing a cannonball off the
Yes.
edge.
Oh, yes. Then we looked up a local pool, signed up for a practice, and
The rest is history,
7
huh?
years
That's cool.
later, two
So
dogs.
is that your main dog sport mostly? Like, is that what you like
Yep.
most?
Dock diving and flyball.
Okay,
Yep.
but with the pandemic, flyball barely
Yes.
exists anymore. So
Too many people for flyball.
dock diving is a good pandemic dog sport. So there's a few different venues, correct? I really know nothing about
Yep,
it, so I'm glad that you're here.
there's,
You mean also organizations?
Yeah.
Yes, organizations. Yep. So there's Dock Dogs, there's Ultimate Air Dogs, and there's North American Diving Dogs. There's a couple other smaller.
But those are the three big branches.
Yep, those
and
are
you
the three
compete
big
in all
ones.
of them.
Yep.
And really, in this area, I feel like we're pretty blessed because there's a pretty nice pool and competition site in Amherst, right,
Yes.
New Hampshire.
Yep.
And then Canine, New England, I don't know what city that's in, but they
Walpole,
do.
Mass.
Yeah, and they
Yep.
do a lot of competition. So it's a decent
There's-
area of the
yep.
country to
There's,
be involved.
Also, Diving Dogs Anonymous in Barnstead, New Hampshire.
nice, yeah.
They're new, so
Cool.
it's not.
It's like a 12-step program
Yes.
for the dock diving job?
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us a
Absolutely.
little bit about your special girlie, because you actually sought this dog out for dock diving. Is that the case?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, for dock diving, flyball.
Yeah.
She's a
Hardcore dog sports.
Oh yes. She's a two-year-old Borderwhippet, and she, took to water a little slow, wouldn't go in puddles, was very afraid of the
Those
rain.
whippets are a little dainty.
Did you put her on medication for that?
No.
Seems to be the...
Don't start. I got myself in big trouble this week. All right, let's move on. So, and this was a litter that was previously bred, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So, and there's like a West Coast version of like the Superstar
I
also.
didn't know that those border whippets could do anything.
Oh, shut up. You don't know anything about dogs. He's such a pain in the butt. All he thought was Malinois could do anything until he got a
Yes.
Border Collie, and now the sun rises and sets on his Border Collie. So that dog, I think Heathen it is
Yes.
out on the West Coast, and then
Yes.
your dog's name is Venom. So I
Yes.
feel like there's a West Coast and East Coast, and both of them are quite competitive. I mean, doing like some hardcore stuff.
Yep, absolutely. Heathen's doing very well out on the West Coast, and Venom's starting to catch her stride on the
Yeah.
East Coast.
Well,
so-
for her
What
age especially.
constitutes doing well in this sport?
Usually, there's a lot of good jumpers. Any dog that's over, I would say, 25 feet is
There's a distance and a height.
distance-wise.
There's
Yep.
two different
Yep.
things, right?
For distance, I would say anything over 25 feet is pretty.
It looks
pretty
like they're going to
well,
have to
yeah.
expand the pool based on what I
Yeah.
saw, because the pool's only like 30 feet long, isn't it?
I believe 35 and 40 feet.
It seems like
Yep,
the ones
and
I see,
some-
they're like getting pretty darn close to the end of the pool now.
Yep, some facilities.
It's like if your dog breaks its neck at the end of the pool, everyone's jumping up and down. Yes, yes.
yes.
It's measured by the tail, though. Is that
Yep.
the case? Yeah. Okay. So, how far is she jumping? What do you call that? Just regular dock diving? Like
That
what
would
is-
be like a distance
Okay.
division.
So
yep.
for
they have
Venom's
different names
distance
for
right
it.
now,
Yep.
what is she like? What's her PR for that?
30 feet.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
pretty far. That's a lot farther than you could jump off the dock.
Well,
Scotty.
You want to place a little... Depends on whether the police are chasing me.
Yes.
Oh, my God. And then the one where they go high, that's Evie, is that right?
Extreme vertical.
Okay.
Yep.
And so what is she jumping for that right now?
She has hit 7 feet 4 inches.
That's
which
pretty
is,
impressive.
Which one is the...
Which is pretty high for a girl.
But the length is the big one for her. There's other dogs jumping higher than 7 feet, right?
Yep, and there's
There's other dogs jumping farther too. Yeah, but I mean, this
What
is
are
pretty intense.
the maximum in both right now? Because I'm not sure. Do
I
you know?
think the world records. I'm not 100%
You're really putting her on the
sure
spot.
it.
Well, no, but that other there was someone in Boston that had a record holder dog for a while. I think.
I
That
think
was
a while ago.
Yeah, that's a while
like
back.
5 years ago. I remember
That was a while back. Yeah.
Yep.
Roughly, what do you think?
I think the extreme vertical is past 8 feet. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I think distance is like 32 or 34 feet.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it
But
is.
you're right, because I didn't even consider that. As a female, she is a little bit smaller in stature. So she was
Yeah.
killing it. Because a lot of these like hardcore dogs are males and they have a little more bone and everything to get going.
I see like a lot of the
Watch
others
it.
are.
No, they put them on steroids. There's no
I thought he was going to do a male-female
There's no
comparison
blood
of
test.
athletes. That is not true. She's not on any steroids. So is there another like thing besides EV and distance? There's like speed stuff.
Yep.
What are the other ones?
Yep, there's speed retrieve or hydro
good one.
dash as they call it.
Oh, that sounds like a fun one.
Yeah.
The retrieving.
And
So
she does-
would they have to put it get back on the dock and hand it to you? When does the
Nope.
stop?
So
the time
for dock dogs, it's they're back 40 feet on the dock. They run, swim, get the toy, and take both strings off, and the time stops.
Okay.
For
What strings? What does that mean?
Like from
the toys
toy.
hanging by
Oh,
strings. Yep.
I got you.
And then North American Diving Dogs has, or NAD they call it, or NADD.
Yeah.
They have Hydro Dash, so I think they're only back 10 feet, so they don't have the speed going into the water, so it's
Right.
a little more of a...
But it's the same thing. They run and get
swimming.
the toy off the strings.
Yep, and that stops when the dog gets back 10 feet away from the edge of the dock. The time stops.
Okay. So those are the different levels of competition within dock diving in and of
Yes.
itself. And you do the speed retrieving stuff with Venom as well.
Yep.
And Patches. I feel like we're ignoring Patches. Patches, the little grenade. We still love Patches.
Do the organizations interact well enough to have someone unifying the titles type thing where you have a champion in this one and then they're going to go to each organization's activity?
They
or-
have their own like world championships or
Everything's very
end of year
autonomous. That's
finals.
how all
Yes.
dog things
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody needs their own money, damn it.
Yes.
But you're competing in all 3 venues
Yep.
within New England, and there's plenty of competitions for each.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
And
definitely.
it's really, it's grown. I know that the pandemic helped, but there are a lot of people at those freaking competitions.
Yes, a lot of them are very quick to fill up for registrations. A lot of the North American Diving Dogs in Amherst, that fills up in like 30 minutes for some of the
Do they
disciplines.
not tell you that it's open because they don't want you to come and win?
No, they'll tell you like the day and the time it
You
opens.
just have to be on it.
And everyone in New England is on it at the same
is
time.
crazy.
It reminds me of the nose work when it was, I'm not sure what it's like now, but a few years back, it was so crazy. They did a lottery.
Oh, wow.
To see,
To see
because
who
it was
can
so,
get in.
and it seemed unfair because people that kind of knew everybody were getting in first.
Yep.
So they would everyone would, I guess, enter, but not pay until they picked everybody's names out and found out who
okay,
was
yep.
actually going to be in it.
Wow.
Something along that line.
Yep.
So how many dogs are like diving at a competition, roughly?
I think you could see like 30, 40, and 50 dog waves for
That's
distance.
pretty
Yep.
impressive. And most of them are like Whippet, Lab, Border Collie kind of things, or are you guys seeing everything?
There's a lot of mixy mixes,
Yeah.
all kinds of
Goldens,
everything.
all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
That's the nice thing about it is any dog can participate.
Yes,
Whereas
any
there are some dog
size.
sports that it's just really tough for certain, like
Yep.
like the biting sports that
Yeah.
rules out most dogs that
Yes.
are not bred for that activity.
Yep. Any size dog. We see a lot of little dogs
Yeah.
doing it, which is awesome.
And are there different categories? I really know nothing
yes.
about dog
Yep,
diving.
they have
Okay.
little different divisions.
Okay.
Called like lap dogs.
Okay, yeah.
it's
So
like
Jack
16
Russell's not
inches.
going to be
Yep.
competing against Venom.
We
No.
have a kiddie pool for chihuahuas.
Yes.
Jumping.
You should have. That would be cute for the little hydro dash. But it's really, and then like practice, you can't really practice in your backyard. I know
Yep.
foundationally people do a lot of stuff at home, but you have to practice at a pool, right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
how frequently
And the problem is you need a runway. It's not just the pool. You need the
I
small
know.
runway, too.
I know.
Yep.
It's a whole to-do. So how frequently are you practicing?
I would say when we first started, before they were doing it routinely without practicing, I would say I would try to go like 2 to 3 times a month or so.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say a week. I'm like,
wish,
you're pretty hardcore.
I wish, because I enjoy it just as much.
In and of itself, with some extra conditioning outside of that, is enough to like grow the skill set. It seems.
Yep. With a lot of dry land, like just retrieving or throwing a toy over an agility jump in the yard helps to
get form.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the downside to being in New England is it's not a year-round activity.
Nope.
And the people in other parts of the country can practice all year.
Yeah,
well,
we do have
the indoor ones.
Yep, we do have like 2 indoor ones locally. I mean, with all dog sports, you got to expect to drive an hour at least anywhere.
if you're committed, you gotta really hunker down here.
Yeah, and God forbid that you actually enjoy it, because that's it. Now you're just driving all the time.
Yes.
That's what happens.
Oh, yeah.
Is it super competitive, or is it more like a chill vibe? Like, I mean, I remember, I don't know what disc is like now, but like back in the day, disc was like everybody had a cooler and like we just like all were like more family vibe. Like, is it a little bit of a chiller vibe than some other dog sports?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like it is. Sometimes we do potlucks within our like little group of friends.
Yeah.
Always helping new people on the dock or with techniques or what's worked for our animals to see if it would work.
And really, the dogs love it. I mean, that's like the whole point of it. Like, they enjoy the water. They're going for a toy. I mean, it really is a drive.
Absolutely.
I literally, my dogs don't jump that far, but my one border collie, I barely have any freaking control over. I mean, she's just barking as soon as she sees the pool, and I just carry her up and I just put her on the dock. But it's her most fun thing to do, and she's probably only done it 3 times.
Yes.
Like, she's obsessed with it.
I feel like the most like obedience dog goes out the window when they see a pool, never mind hearing splashing.
Yeah. Oh my God. It is. It's fun. And all the dogs just go, go, go. So how many reps do you get within a competition, if that makes sense? So how many tries or whatever?
Yep. So for like dock diving, usually like with dock dogs and UAD, they call it a wave or a splash. So each one you get 2 jumps.
Okay.
NADD, North American Diving Dogs, does you can, when you go up per wave, you can have an optional practice jump before, which is nice. So you
that
can
is
get
nice.
like
Get used to the pool
you
and
can get
stuff.
the jitters out,
Yeah.
or if it's a new location. Yep.
And then how are you like during the competition? The dogs are all going. Obviously, the ones that sign up, they're all probably going to be jumping at that point, right? Because sometimes these practices, you just see dogs like at the ledge, like, I don't know if I can do it.
Yes.
But at the actual competitions, I would assume at this point, they're actually like taking flight in some way, shape, or form.
For the most part. Sometimes people will see it like at a fair, and if they have their dog, they'll just sign up.
Try it, yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit, the troubleshooting, since I made this the quirky tip. If your dog likes swimming, try dock diving. If the dog is one of those dogs that's just kind of running back and forth on the dock, what are some good like user-friendly tips to help the dog build its confidence?
So I found usually sometimes if you throw the toy and start running to the end of the dock with the dog, sometimes they get that little competition. And like, oh, I gotta go.
I gotta go for it. You dive in with
and then they can't stop in time. Like, oh my God.
Yes. Another thing is some dogs don't like to jump in competition pools because they're clear water.
Okay.
Whereas a lake has more reflection and it's kind of murkier looking.
Yeah.
So splashing sometimes help.
Oh, okay.
It breaks up, the depth for them, it seems like.
Wow, that's
Well,
super
it's like a
interesting.
professional diver.
Yeah.
They have the hoses on the sides to show them where the water surface is when they're diving.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
In the
crazy.
Olympics
I don't know
and
how he knows
well,
anything about
I did it for several years. I was good, but I could see I wasn't going to be
professional diving. Like, we've never even talked about that in my life. And then is another thing like the dog jumps off the ramp first? Because I feel like I've seen that before.
Some dogs learn better if they were to go off a ramp.
Yeah. So they jump off the dock and then they come back on the ramp to get out. And it's like really like very legitimate because there's like a gate and then you got to go get the dog outside. It's very, very organized and very specific.
Well, it's great because there's no
Does your
dogs hitting
dog
each
seem anxious?
Oops.
That's fine. We'll
Hang
go to
on a
break.
second.
We can go to break.
Would you like your dog to relax? Do you want to feel more in control? Would you like your dog to cooperate? HowToCalmYourCanine.com. That's HowToCalmYourCanine.com.
our producer decided it was time to go to break, so we went to break. That's what we do.
What really happened was Jess's top fell off.
No, I'm trying to be careful of my attire. Okay, while we're doing all this media stuff, I want to show some pictures because we have some pictures of Venom doing this sport just so you guys can see how cute she is. And these are all courtesy of Groove Star Studio. But I mean, she's freaking flying. And then this EV, I think this picture is next. So how high is she jumping in this next picture that's coming up?
7 feet.
So that one is, I believe it was 6'4".
That is amazing.
That was probably at the beginning of a year ago. When
yeah,
she was
I thought her form looked good.
And
so
that's obviously an indoor facility there. You could see the door there.
Yep.
Good call there.
Well, we were thinking about doing that. We had a facility. We were thinking about renting out the
other
bay
space
next to us and putting in a pool.
Yep.
So how tall is she? How high does she measure?
20 inches.
Okay, so I mean that's a lot to get to 7 feet at 20 inches. That's a powerful little girly.
Oh, that's like a Kobe
absolutely.
jump.
What are some
It was my first dog I never told not to jump.
Yeah, exactly.
I do regret it when we meet new people and she likes to jump.
You just
on
got to
them.
have them protect their nose.
But
All of our
when you
dogs
find
jump on
her
everybody.
on the kitchen island, you kind of just say, "Oh, okay,
Jumping
get
into
down."
the sink.
It's part of the sport. We need this. So what is some other cross conditioning things you do? I know you talked about retrieving on the flat. Do you do like fitness stuff and treadmill also with her? Or?
Yeah, I did a lot of hind end awareness.
Yeah.
Body awareness in general, but the hind end I like because I feel like they know where their back feet are landing.
Yeah.
I feel like some dogs, not to mention names, but Patches loves to leave.
As long as it's your dog, we can knock it.
Loves to leave about 4 feet early.
Yeah.
And I do really think I didn't put the time in on hind end awareness with her, so I don't think she knows where her back feet are.
I got a little trick to help with that little issue.
Yeah?
Seriously, because that's an issue with jumping on the ground too.
Yep.
They jump early, so they wind up doing this great jump, but just barely clearing the jump because they jump so early.
Yep.
And we would just put a stick on the ground.
Oh, okay.
And they would want to get
Cavaletti.
over. They'd want to get over the stick before they jumped, and it would close that gap. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, because in French ring, what's the long jump? Like 14 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to...
And we'd have a jump. The dog would clear a 14-foot jump, but leave 5 feet early. They're doing like a 20-foot jump. I'm like, they're working way too hard.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, well, it's nice that Scott can impart his dock diving wisdom on the podcast, but it might
jumping
work,
issue.
though.
It's
It
a
might
jumping
work.
issue.
People leave leashes on the dock to simulate the same thing.
So, and the point is, and that is a good point, the farther you take off from the actual like end of the dock, the farther you're going to jump. So it is an important
You're not getting
technique.
points for all those that other stuff.
So Patches is 4 feet, could potentially be jumping 4 feet further in the water if she didn't leave 4 feet early.
How
on the
far does
dock.
she jump, just comparatively?
She can hit like 20, 23.
Oh, that's pretty impressive.
yeah.
Yeah, so if she got her 4 feet going,
Yes.
that would be pretty insane.
Send her over. I'll straighten her out.
Scott's going to put down the Cavaletti. We're going to deal with it. So does your husband come to these things too? Like, is this a fun thing for him to see?
He's starting to jump Patches.
Oh, fun.
Yep.
Now that you're getting so competitive, you like have to only focus on your one dog. It's like
it's
when...
kind of hard running in between two and throwing for two different styles of dogs.
That is true. That is a really good point you bring up because like you just think, oh, I'm just going to throw the toy. Like, no, there's a lot of freaking technique there. And like you have to have it at a certain level and like really be able to, I mean, you'll probably practice your throwing alone a lot, right?
Yep. A little bit on the, on the ground, like in the yard.
Yeah.
Kind of put a target out there where I'd ideally want it
Sounds
to
like
go
Frisbee
in the pool. Yep.
A little bit, but
Oh,
even
yeah.
the technique of it is like, I mean, where that toy is and the eye level and everything else. I mean, it's not easy.
When I first started throwing Frisbee for my dog, she had a heart attack. Stop throwing the Frisbee. The dog is jumping vertically trying to...
Oh, yes.
We did have to have some throwing lessons. It did stress me out a little bit. We have to be conscientious of these things. So the dogs all go for toys. Like, what if you don't have a dog that likes a toy? Do they still
throw a
dock
hamburger
dive?
off the side.
No food, nothing that's alive.
Does anybody jump without a toy or not really?
Some dogs just like the water.
So they'll just go.
Yep, I've seen dogs just jump in for the water, splash around, and then come out.
That's crazy.
Some people just use sticks.
They never let a human be in the pool, though, right?
Nope.
That would be a lot of dogs would jump to their owner.
To the owner, absolutely.
But then they might pee in the pool and mess it up for the dogs.
Well, do the owners have to jump in sometimes, or like how do you wrangle the dogs? Like what happens in that?
Most dogs come out. Some dogs don't like
enjoy
to.
the water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're having fun.
Yeah.
Those dogs, they kind of use like pool skimmers to kind of direct out gradually.
That happened with Ghost in Maine. Do you remember Ghost, the Staffy?
No.
We went to compete in Scarborough, and that happened with Lacey and Ghost. Ghost just wanted to swim all day. Because literally
Well,
some
that dog
dogs...
was a mental case. Tell the quick story about Ghost. The dog gets out of the yard. They lived right on a lake.
Yep.
The dog runs down, jumps in the lake, and just starts swimming out to the middle of the lake.
They had to jump in a canoe.
The owner had to take somebody's canoe, start paddling out to get the damn dog back.
He really loved the water. It was really a thing. But that's a thing with some dogs.
I was going to suggest if you're introducing to water at a lake the first time, use a harness and a long line.
Oh, my gosh. It's true.
Put a leash on the dog.
I love this. This is great.
Good idea. That was a tip on our last podcast.
That's pretty much what we say a lot of times. Put a leash on the dog. But no, it's true, because if the dog does just enjoy the water, or like this happens sometimes, or they think
miss the toy.
Yeah, they don't see the toy and they think they're going to see the toy. If you don't have a strong recall, it can get dangerous.
Yep.
Or Jess used to just throw rocks at the toy to create a splash over there to hopefully get the dog.
I have a decent enough left and right that my dogs could find the toy, but I'm kind of a weak swimmer, so I make sure that I do have a decent.
Kinda.
Shut up. We don't have to get into that right now.
I found that out. We're both on a stand-up paddleboard, almost this little thing, and it's like leaning over, and then she tells me, I don't really know how to swim really well. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And now I'm getting nervous. I'm like, let's get back to the shore.
Yeah.
No, but if I'm swimming dogs alone, that is a thought of mine. Like, if I don't have a good recall, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go in there and save them. And the problem with swimming and dogs when they don't have a place to get out is they're going to fatigue at some point.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
that's just how it freaking works.
Yep.
So do you swim her outside of dock diving? Like, just go and swim her to swim her for fitness?
Yep. If we hike or I find a couple of ponds or lakes that aren't super popular, because I do worry about hooks or other dogs, because when I'm trying to like exercise the dogs or have fun, I don't necessarily want, another dog jumping in and creating issues or anything like that.
And that will happen, yeah.
Yeah.
You're having a nice day, and then your dog gets attacked.
Yes.
What about any underwater treadmill? Do you guys do that kind of stuff?
We have not. I've used it for Patches to recondition her back up after illness.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
I was just wondering.
We give a little plug to Woof Meow in Dover, New Hampshire, because they have an indoor pool.
They're
it's
indoor
great
pool.
for
their indoor
I thought he was going to say they had an underwater treadmill. I'm like,
wish.
they do?
I wish.
No, but it's a good place to swim dogs in the winter.
Yeah, that's. I'll bring them there too, just to Patches. You can just hold the toy and walk around the pool, and she'll follow you.
No, we swim dogs that we live close to there now, but it's a great indoor pool, and it's nice even for old dogs.
It's nice for puppies too.
That's true.
The gradual walk.
Yeah, and you don't have to get too scared. Now you're pressuring me to bring Verify there.
No,
All
it's
right.
really.
I'll come with you.
We've brought several puppies there that client dogs.
Yep.
Yeah, just for the exposure.
And the dog, we threw a toy out there. The dog just dove in and started
Wow,
retrieved
that's cool.
it.
That's
Not
awesome.
a lot. We've had 2 out of maybe 10.
Yeah.
But it's really
But even
nice
the
to see.
experience,
That's cool,
even the experience, Scott can just put a long line on the dog and walk around the side and get the dogs around. The experience of swimming is good. It builds confidence, and it's a great thing to do. And you guys are like out ATVing and stuff too. So is Venom like running during all that? And like,
she will in the yard.
Okay.
She's also like a very good. If I let her out the door, she'll literally do laps in the woods without me.
It's like her own self-conditioning.
Without me encouraging it, so it's kind of nice.
So that's not the kind of dog that like the average pet owner would want to own, right?
She's
very high energy.
She has high energy, but she, in the house will sleep long.
She has that whippy off switch. She likes to cuddle up in blankets.
Yep.
So what are your goals? Like, she's pretty young now. Do you have like specific goals, or you just kind of want to see how things go, or where do you stand with that?
We're still taking it slow because of how young she is.
Well, I wouldn't say 7 feet and 30 feet is too slow. That's slow.
How old is she now?
She's 2.
2, yeah. Not really. There's also, because of the pandemic, not a ton of events.
Yeah.
Right.
There's absolutely no fly ball. It's just starting to come back.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to get her into fly ball. I wish I could throw a disc because I assume she would excel in that too.
Yeah.
Get out there by yourself.
Maybe out in the yard.
Get out by yourself.
You can come to Scotty's throwing camp. But no.
And then dock diving, I would like to, probably not this year, but maybe next year, try and get to some of the world championships with her and let her have that experience. It's a lot. The world championships, especially dock dogs, is indoors. It's loud. There's
multiple pools, right?
4 or 5 pools going
crazy.
at a time. So I wanted her to get used to and in the groove of dock diving at different events, different venues.
Get her confidence up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we'll
And
see
those
what
are
she
cool
wants to
because
do.
then the best of the whole country is coming there,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yeah,
and
it's awesome to see everyone.
Just the U.S. There's no Canadians or anybody coming.
Sometimes
when
the borders open, they'll come down.
But they are allowed to compete in all three of the venues. That's cool.
Absolutely.
That's cool. They don't. Do they have their own organizations up in Canada or no?
I think they might have a couple different ones, but I'm not sure.
That is true about the border. Dog sports are so different nowadays. And when you mention goals, like they're really, if you're going to excel at something, there's really only so much you can do. Like you can't put all your eggs in all these different baskets. Like if you want to kind of be at the top of your game in certain things, you can only have so many weekends and so many hours and so much time and everything else. But flyball is definitely on the docket once things get back to being open. And was Patches a flyball dog too?
Yep, she's a flyball dog. So we're practicing, so she's going good. Probably retire her in a couple years. She's 8. She'll be 9 this year.
Yeah.
And do you wear earplugs when you do the fly ball?
No.
Oh my God, that's the noisiest sport I've ever been
to. That really
It
is. They really do bark a lot.
Dock diving gets up there, though.
But if it's out, I guess if it's indoors. But when it's outdoors, it just, at least it diffuses a little better. But yeah, that fly ball stuff.
This is a training question, but have you ever brought your dog to a dock diving competition and not jumped your dog and then left?
Yep.
Just so that they don't immediately assume I'm here, I'm going to freaking do this.
Yeah, I have not like necessarily on purpose, but after doing it, I was like, wow, this kind of worked out because she, Patches at the time was sick, or not sick, but like coming off of an injury.
Yeah.
So she couldn't jump, but I was part of the board of Seacoast Dock Dogs, so I went to help. And she was there, and you could tell she was real jealous.
Yeah.
But she behaved herself and was quiet in the cage, which is what we work on in public events and stuff.
That's true, because you don't really want them getting worked up in between.
Yeah, they could be
jumping.
exhausted by the time they're ready to jump.
Yep, absolutely.
Especially if it's a warmer day.
Yep. And then
this is bringing up so many points I didn't even think of.
After she was cleared to jump, that next event, she like hit a personal best. So
all that frustration kind of built up over time.
Yes,
you got to leave her parked down the street.
Yeah.
So you can't hear anything. Then go get her, bring her back.
Yeah.
No, but that is true, and that does happen sometimes when dogs are like wanting and not able to. Then they like kind of push through a new barrier. So that is a good point. Yep. But most of the time, when you're going to do stuff, Venom's jumping. I would assume at this point. I mean, if you're going to make the drive, it's
another thing I wanted to mention about the pools themselves. They're relatively inexpensive in relation to what people would think a pool is, which is, in ground or even the above ground, but they're all permanently affixed. These things, they just lay them out, fill them with water, because like the fairs, they're popping those big pools up, they're breaking them down, going to the next fair.
Yep.
So it's not easy,
but it's not that.
It's a lot of work, and the staff who does it is incredible.
Which brings up another question. We were at it was one of the fairs. The pool was so gross. It was like green.
Yep.
It was really dirty.
A lot of times those are pumped in from local water sources.
So they got the hook and everything.
But good for the reflection point.
Yes. Yes.
They think they're landing on the ground.
Yes.
No, but that works out well. That is a thing. So is there like a filtration system ever?
Oh,
like,
of course there
quickly
is.
at these events? Well, no, just for the pop-up events?
Nope, the pop-up events, like I said, they just get sucked out of a lake or a hydrant, whatever they can, if they have a hydrant. If not, a big tanker comes in from a lake and they fill it and then just drain it on the ground afterwards.
How often do the dogs potty in the pool? Not often?
No.
And I assume females in heat. I'm just wondering.
I mean, just because your dog did it doesn't mean nothing.
My dog has never shit in the pool ever, not once in its life.
Yeah, we have a company, these big trucks near where we live, and it says they fill pools and they empty septic tanks, and then it says not the same truck. It says it right on the side, not the same truck.
I've never seen those trucks. I'm learning so much today about Scott and his diving and everything else.
I pay attention to everything that's going around.
Clearly you do. What about females in heat? Are they allowed to jump? I would assume no.
No, because it definitely distracts them.
Yeah, and especially on the dock.
And some of the dominant females.
Oh, that's interesting. But and then the pool and everything else.
You just bring a handkerchief covered with the estrogen or whatever it is. Just leave it. Just leave it there on the side after you leave.
I don't think she needs any more points to be able to compete. She's very competitive, as is, ethically. She's ethically competitive. That's what we're going for. So how many events do you guys have a year? How many competitions? I know that it's been different with COVID, but like what would, on average, how many competitions would you go to?
Probably like anywhere from 12 to 20.
That's
just depending on what's available.
Pretty intense.
Yeah, so we'll jump.
I think it seems like the hardest thing for people that do it a lot is keeping their dog maintaining that position for the start so you can get to the end of the dock. I see a lot of dogs breaking repeatedly. Just like, nope, get back here.
Yep. Some of the organizations allow 2 people, so that's nice.
Oh, that's nice. A restrained start is even better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we should try that because my dog does a little bit of breaking of the sit-stay when I go sometimes. She's really good until the
A lot
doctor.
of dogs do. A lot of they're so excited.
They get pumped up. How many restarts do you get? That's a good question about the rules.
So it's just a certain time on the dock. So.
Oh, you got to get
Have the judge hold the dog.
Yeah.
And then when they jump, this is important if you're going to take up the sport. When they jump, it's measured by the end of the tail.
Yep, the tail base.
So the head is really going a lot farther than that. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah.
This is a training question again. When you're training or practicing, do you ever put just a piece of ribbon or something up higher than the so that they're jumping over a ribbon to get your distance?
I've seen it.
Because we do that on the ground a lot.
Yep, I've seen it on Facebook. I personally have never.
You don't need to. Your dog's already a monster. Jess might want to consider this.
We're going to go into intensive Jess dog diving training. And then for the Eevee, it's pretty clear that like the toy is up there or the toy is down here for Hydro Dash or whatever else, or you're throwing the toy. So they're pretty clear what's happening when they get on the dock. There's not a lot of confusion there.
It's real funny because Patches is like, she'll give out a good yodel or a scream because Lord knows she doesn't bark ever.
Yeah.
But Venom, I'll show her and she'll just nonchalantly walk the other way.
I'm all set, ready to rock.
It's very, very strange, but
she's got her swagger on.
They know, and
I would think the pit bulls could really excel at that vertical because they are just monsters they do that a lot with the just hanging stuff on the spring pole and they're just jumping vertically a lot.
Oh, yes. Yep.
But I don't know if it would still transfer to what you're doing because it's not just a vertical, it's an arc vertical.
Yes.
That's a whole different thing, you know?
There's a cute little pit bull locally that's doing really well in Eevee this year. And
yeah, it's nice.
So
they can all do it.
Yes.
Except the big fat ones. It's a good reason to get your weight down on your dog if you want to participate.
Before you get to dock diving.
And you don't want them to hurt themselves too.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So is there a lot of like body work involved? I mean, they're landing in the pool, so it's pretty forgiving, I would assume.
Yeah, it seems like there's not too much injury.
The impact or anything.
Yeah, on the impact, with landing.
And even
in the
Eevee
water.
and stuff, and it doesn't seem to be a
Eevee,
big
they
issue.
say with landing, sometimes there may be like a cold tail or dead tail, they call it, issue. I've never experienced it with either of my dogs.
My dog did that once on a Palisade. That's a vertical wall.
Yep.
He went up. I'm on the other side of it, and he just, for some reason, he couldn't do it. He fell back, landed on his tail, and had that.
Yep.
I was like, I'd never experienced that before. And people saying, if his tail doesn't come back. I mean, they can't poop if that tail isn't working because that's part of the muscle that helps them poop.
Yep.
But after a couple of days, it came back.
Yeah.
I just used an electric collar on him. I'm just kidding.
We put the tail collar on him and everything was fixed. Well, this is all super fascinating to me. And honestly, you guys, if you do have a dog that likes swimming, at least look up dock diving because it's fun. And like Kristen said, the people seem to be pretty chill and it's just got a good community and it's a little less dog sporty than some other dog sports, which is nice.
You know what I liked about it is the dogs that don't do well, everyone roots for them like an underdog.
Yes.
So like when you came, for example, everyone was like, when that dog finally went in the water, it was like, yay!
My dog would be really cute if like a little girl threw for her. Like that would be good because she jumps like it's strong 10 feet. But I'm going to get Vital going. I'm renting with Kristen and I'm going to get her sister in the West Coast is doing great. So with Kristen's tutelage, I'm going to be getting rocking and rolling.
You should get out and do it.
I know. I can't train. I got so many pet dogs.
I might do it with Cousteau.
Oh,
he might poop on the deck just looking at how far
you want
down
to talk about pooping in the pool. All right, you guys, if you have any questions about dock diving or anything else in general, you can shoot us an email at studio@thequirkydog.com. Otherwise, check out Kristen and her awesome dog, Venom, because they have a super long career ahead of them. And in the meantime, keep it quirky.
Yeah, do something with your dogs, guys.
You want to be the pig person?
I got a diving pig.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.